Hi guys. I don't normally go live, but I had a discussion with someone a few today, and I basically they were saying that they're challenging the whole fact of the Tory Lanez verdict, and I really wanted to give them a chance to come in and have that discussion with me. Now that person is not here. I'll give them a few minutes. This won't be a long live. What's key is I want to cover off on, is this verdict a travesty in justice? And I think a lot of us know what happened with Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez is a Canadian rapper. I'm from Canada, and he went to the US. You know, over the pandemic in July 2020, he and Megan Thee Stallion had a night out, and at the end of the night, there was a police report, and over time, it came out that he has been accused of shooting Megan Thee Stallion and of assault. Now, what's key and what's important to all of that is that you know the trial went on for 2 weeks, but before that, there was about almost a year and a half that transpired in between the trial occurring and this verdict coming down. Now, there's quite a few people who have said different things, and I wanted to be give them a chance to come and chat with me. They wanted to talk in the comment section, no problem with that. But this is a big topic, and I think that if you want to discuss it and go back and forth, like I'm open to having that discussion. Now I don't see the person here, but what I wanted to say, number one, is let's establish a few things that happened. And I think that those few things that happened, we need to ask ourselves this question. And let's start with this. Let's start with a few questions. Now, one of the big things that some people are trying to deny is that Megan Thee Stallion was shot. Now, we will see easily that this was in open court. This was easily discussed, and it came out that Megan Thee Stallion, yes, she was shot. And here we go. This was reported by Page Six. This is the New York Post. That you can read the report that doctors found three major bullet fragments in Megan Thee Stallion's feet after Tory Lanez allegedly shot her. Now, this was before the guilty verdict. So, therefore, fact of the matter is that she did have bullet fragments in her feet. Now, my theory on this all is it's not that she got a direct shot from the bullet, but this is shrapnel. This is fragments. So, therefore, she was hit with fragments from the bullet. So, that fact number one is yes, she was shot. Now, let's go to the next one. Were there any bullets or fragments from her foot? We answered that one. Did anyone testify that they saw Tory Lanez shoot Megan Thee Stallion? Megan herself testified. Her friend Kelsey testified and then changed her she testified. When she was interviewed by detectives, she told them Tory Lanez shot Megan Thee Stallion. When she had her deposition in September of 2022, she corroborated exactly what she said. Tory Lanez shot Megan Thee Stallion. When she came to court, she pleaded the fifth that time and was very evasive. So you have to understand that in that situation, she did not necessarily she was not necessarily a credible witness, and that's exactly why the verdict happened the way it is. And I think that it's the detectives and the prosecution take her earlier testimony because they will take your freshest testimony, and that testimony back then would have been a bit more, you know, not impacted by anything else. And so let's talk about gunpowder residue. Yes, so gunpowder residue was found on Tory Lanez. So you can see it here. An LAPD, this is from the New York Times, an LAPD criminalist there, whereas many as four people's DNA on both the weapon and the magazine, but they could not prove that Peterson had touched the gun. Both Harris and Peterson tested positive for gunshot residue, but this can occur due to proximity. So we at least know that he was in proximity to the gun. So that's there. So when we answer those questions, the next one is was Tory Lanez DNA found on the gun. As we saw there, it said it, not that it was not found, it was inconclusive. And that's the important part, that if you look at this, is that there was just an inconclusive result of, you know, the DNA. So that's basically what happened. That there, it was inconclusive that Tory Lanez had handled that gun. Now, one of the big things I want to make sure as I cover this is we have to get these facts going first. The first set of facts that we need to talk about is this: if Megan Thee Stallion was shot, and we saw that based on what was presented before the court, we saw that there was fragments in her foot, and we saw that Kelsey testified that Tory Lanez shot Megan. Also, Megan testified that Tory Lanez shot her, and also Sean Kelly, an independent witness, came in and that he testified that this happened. He said he said that he also focused testimony. This is an independent person, has nothing to do with Megan Thee Stallion or Tory Lanez, by claiming that he saw the latter fire everywhere 4 or 5 times. And the former went on to add that he saw Tory Lanez, his driver, Kelsey, beating Megan Thee Stallion. So, I mean, what we have here is an independent witness who has no relation to Megan or Tory, saying that he was involved in shooting her, in shooting the gun. So he's tied to the gun. So when we go through all of that, there is no issue where we have to believe Megan, because the doctors corroborated it. She was shot. Were there bullets found? Yes. Did at least 3 people testify that Tory Lanez had shot a gun? So that was Sean Kelly, Megan, and Kelsey. And this was before Kelsey tried to change her testimony. But as we said, the prosecutors would go with the earlier testimony. Then after that, gunpowder residue was found on Tory Lanez. And then we said that the DNA was inconclusive. Now, anyone who turns around and says this is a travesty of justice looks stupid. And I'm just being quite honest, because we could say that, they did not prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. I would say to that was put before the jury, and the jury could have come up with that I don't believe that you proved that case beyond a reasonable doubt. And we as the public could say and pretend to be jurors and say, I wouldn't have ruled that way. And nothing is wrong with that. But to say it was a travesty of justice, that's where it sounds silly, because it just, and I'm not going to be a content creator that says, because the majority of the people who listen to me believe that Tory Lanez is innocent, and I don't even believe most people do believe that he's innocent. I think there's a bigger problem, and I want to talk about what that bigger problem is. The fact of the matter is that it doesn't make sense for me, even if I lose subscribers or lose viewers or whatever, it doesn't matter to me, because me being dishonest about this does not help me in any way. So I would just tell my truth, and my truth is, I don't know what happened that night, but I know that there was sufficient evidence to have a case, and there's sufficient evidence for a juror to make a decision on whether or not, he shot her or not. And for me, even before this verdict came in, I thought it was 50-50. I thought it was 50. I thought he was definitely going to get 1 or 2 of the charges, because there are 3. But for me, he got all 3. I'm sorry about that. This is how things work, and that there wasn't stronger evidence for it. But no one can say this is a travesty injustice. But what I wanted to do is quickly just go over what I think the real problem is. And I'm in my 40s. One of my first rap artists I ever listened to was Snoop Dogg, and Nothing But a G Thing was one of my favorite songs, because it was just the video. It was just the fact of seeing Snoop Dogg, a young guy who was just enjoying the entire day without doing any work. And he was just, it was just great. He went to a party, went to a barbecue. There's pretty women there. It was the most attractive thing for a young teenager to see that video. But when you get older and you look at the lyrics of some of the songs that he has, it's obvious. I was looking at this one, you can you control your hoe? And when I looked at this, I started to look at some of the lyrics. And I'm just going here to the chorus. This is not just the lyrics, this is the chorus. The chorus says, can you control your hoe? You got that bee that won't do what you say. You can't control your hoe. She harsh-headed. She won't obey. Can you control your hoe? You've got to know what to do and what to say. You've got to put that bee in her place, even if it's slapping her in her face. You got to control that hoe. You got to control that hoe. This is the type of music that, this is just one song. There are thousands of these songs. And what permeates into the brain is that a lot of us as men need to understand that we've been listening to this and getting all this poison in our systems for years. And one of the things that we have not just figured out, that we haven't gotten a detox from it. So we definitely believe that because Megan Thee Stallion, dresses a certain way and we can call her a thought, then, we're saying she's a hoe. And then we know that because of pimp music, and this pimp music through, all the rap songs that we've heard before, this is what, she needs to be put in her place. And probably that's what happened that night. Who knows? That was probably what happened. I don't know. But if this was what happened, there's several songs like this, several artists who have created music like this, that, violence against women is just a normalized. And something that we need to look into ourselves, that it's not about not believing Megan. It's about us basically just saying, we could just treat women any way that we want to treat them. And that Megan does not have the right to say that she was hurt. And so that's what I wanted to make sure that we covered this part. Now, I invited someone to come up and, during my comment section, I said, if you want to come and chat about this, come at 9:00. Now, he hasn't turned up. So what I wanted to do is just cover over all these things. So as I would say to anyone, as I'm going to close off this live stream because the person has not turned up, is that as Spooky Jamal, I will make sure that I try to be fair. I mean, Tory Lanez if I was older, he could be my son or Megan could be my daughter. And if they were, and I had my son there as Tory Lanez, my biggest thing would be that I'd feel sorry for him staying so long, but I'd also look at the fact that I probably did not raise him right. Or probably, he just went the wrong way and he has to pay for what he did. And if Megan was my daughter, I'd be cheering and saying, yes, the person who harmed her needs to go to prison. So I want to be fair with this, but I also don't want to pretend as if I am someone that can be swayed by the number of commenters who say they're for something or that. Let's just be fair and look at the facts. And if you look at the facts, it's quite obvious what happened. And so thank you guys for, listening. And definitely I'll keep this live up for a while. Thanks, guys.